parties of counsel are present. Juror 9, you are the foreperson?
Yes.
And it is true that the jury has reached verdicts?
Yes, Your
On
Honor.
both counts?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you have the verdict forms with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, could you give those to Deputy Bennett?
Oh my.
All right, what we're going to do, folks, is Deputy Bennett is going to give the verdict forms to juror number 1. Juror number 1, I want you to look at the verdict forms, and I'm going to want to know whether these verdict forms reflect your true and correct verdicts. Juror 2, I'd like you to look over her shoulder so you can review the verdict forms. And I want to know from you whether these are your true and correct verdicts. Once I've heard from both of you, give the verdict forms to juror number 3. Juror 3, look at the verdict forms. Juror 4, look over her shoulder. So ultimately, I'm going to want to hear from all 12 of you whether these verdict forms reflect your individual true and correct verdicts. Everybody understand? All right. You got it? Put these two in the morning.
That's different.
All right, never heard of it.
You hear
Did I
that?
miss it?
You hear that, Bob?
No, here we go.
The judge is having them look over the verdict forms and look over each other's
Juror number 1, are
shoulders.
those your true and correct verdicts? Juror number 2?
Yes.
Juror 3 and 4?
Wow. So they're polling the jury before they
Yes.
read the verdict. Never heard of that.
Juror 5
Me
and
neither.
6?
I was down there cooking dinner for the kids.
Juror
Alice
5,
is like,
those your
they're
true
in.
and correct verdicts? Yes. Juror 6? All right, let's get the verdict forms to juror 7. Juror 8, look over her shoulder.
So they're holding the verdict form, and the other person is reading it over their shoulder, so two at a time are confirming it's their verdict.
Juror number 7, those are your true and correct verdicts? Juror 7?
Yes.
Juror 8?
Yes.
9 and 10?
Yeah, this is brutal.
Juror 9?
Yes.
Juror 10?
Yes.
Why poll if it's enough middle is a good question.
Juror 11?
Yes.
Juror 12?
Yes.
All right, all jurors have stated that the verdict forms reflect their individual true and correct verdicts. Alex, read this.
Yes, Your Honor. The Los Angeles Superior Court, County of Los Angeles. People of the State of California versus Joaquin Mayers, case number BA 508142-01. We, the jury in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Joaquin Mayers, not guilty of
That's just one count of votes. That's all counts.
Hold it down, hold it down. Verdict has to be read on count.
Yes, sir. Repeat again, we, the jury, above entitled action, find the defendant, Joaquin Mayers, not guilty of any assault of a semi-automatic firearm in violation of Penal Code Section 245, Section B.
Wow.
A felony is charging count 1 of the information this 18th day of February 2025.
Missy, can you tweet that out? With covering it?
All right,
Title for the cause, we, the jury,
Wow.
and the above entitled action, find the defendant, Joaquin Mayers, not guilty of the crime of assault with a firearm in violation of Penal Code Section 245, Section B. A
I've never heard
felony
of
charging
forming a
count 2 of
rough
the
go
information
happy.
this 18 days.
That was for like a possession charge.
Juror seat number 9, foreperson.
during this trial, I watched you periodically. You did what we asked of you at the very beginning, which is to give both sides a fair trial, pay attention, use your common sense, apply the law, and base your verdict on the evidence. I know you took extensive notes, and you took this as seriously as any jury could. We cannot have jury trials without folks like you. So you certainly have my gratitude. I want to extend to you my best wishes. Again, thank you. The admonition to not discuss the case no longer applies. You can talk about the case with anybody if you want to, or nobody if you don't want to. Alex has your certificates of completion. You can take your juror badges with you. Thank you again. You are excused.
Everybody remain seated in the public. We're going to let the jurors walk out first.
Thank y'all for saving my life. Thank you. Thank you.
Was that Rocky that said that? Thank God for saving
Yeah,
my life.
I think he's telling that to the jury.
Oh, he's telling to the jury, thank God for saving my life. That's the quote. Rocky says to the jury, thank God for saving my life. Is John Lewin there? I guess they're not showing anymore. They're not showing the photo.
Right.
Right, hold on.
All right, the jury is left. The bond is exonerated. Mr. Mayers, you're excused.
The judge gave him the high sign.
Hey, he just walked out. He didn't take anybody's hand.
Salute.
Thank God for saving my life.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. Thank
Woo!
God for saving my
Just-
life, Bob.
Justice served.
I love it. I love it.
Justice served.
Justice served.
You know, when they were watching, had that shot from the back, and you could see Rocky, the breathing.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
if you were to rewind right before they read the verdict, like,
He-
I always try to explain to people just how intense that moment in time is. That small moment of time, like right before they're reading it, because like for the lawyers, we're freaking out.
Can you
You
imagine?
know, I mean,
though?
you're absolutely freaking out.
You're
when
going
reading.
home though. You're going home.
Exactly. So imagine how that defendant feels. So it's like him
This-
diving into his wife's arms.
Oh,
like
my
after they
gosh.
read the first count says it all.
And you know, I've never seen polling before the verdict is read and done in the way that they did. The court had one, you hold the verdict forms. Number two, you look over the shoulder. Number three, you hold the verdict forms. And all the time, you know, the defendant is freaking out because this meat cleaver is hanging over his head. And then you get to the reading, which always has extra information you don't need. You know, we the jury, blah, blah, blah. In this case, blah, blah, blah. You know, every extra syllable is another dagger, you know, into the defendant who is waiting to hear his fate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, and no matter how much, yes, I'm okay. I don't know if you're talking about me or the other Linda Brooklyn, but Linda me is okay. I'm just
Linda's tweeting. Don't let her bullshit you.
no, I'm not tweeting. I'm not tweeting. I'm thanking.
She's trying to get Joe on. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, I should do that, shouldn't I? I didn't think I was thanking.
Of
I was
course.
thanking
Congratulations. An amazing
Here, and then here's what'll happen. Okay, see you later, Bob. Yeah. That's
I
what'll
gotta
happen.
go anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure that he must have. I mean, you know,
He's going to be swamped. But
I mean, he's going to be swamped with.
This
He
is going to be a
knows-
night of celebrating with,
yeah. Oh my
with
gosh.
people,
Yeah.
probably his client, his
Probably a
family.
pretty good party. Would you think?
Yeah, I would
Pretty
think
good party. Yeah.
would
Yeah.
think so.
And Relly will not be invited.
So. No, I think Relly's out.
Yeah.
Now, what's really interesting is we can ask Joe to come on already. Now, he may not want to get into it about the gag. The gag has to be lifted. There's no trial. The gag can't apply anymore, right?
Yeah, correct. Right. So
Right?
he knows we want to talk. I'm confident when he feels it's the right time, he will. But yeah, they need to have their moment. And, you know,
Right.
I would not be surprised if he does a bit of a presser, though, outside.
I wouldn't be surprised either. And also the LADA's office will tweet at them again. They have no excuse now not to answer our
No,
question. They said
other than just
they
being
specifically-
douchebags.
Yeah, they don't want to, I'm sure, because by bringing that motion today to say that the gag was
gosh.
violated, it sounds like they confirmed what we were reporting. That's
Sounds
what
to
it sounds
be.
like to me.
This is interesting kind of first public test for Hochman, the new DA. We know the Menendez case has been the thing getting all the buzz and what's he going to do?
Right.
What he's, but this case, has his stamp on it now,
Yeah.
with
Big,
his
big
hand-selected Lewin.
Right. Right, because he had Lewin supported him according to the article I read for becoming DA. And then I have a question: was he given this because of the support? I mean, he went on Fox News.
Well, if he was, he deserves what he got, because I don't think he did his homework ahead of time. He may have seen this as, hey, this is a high-profile case. That's where I should be.
Right.
Then he steps into it and goes, oh shit,
Yeah.
what is this?
Yeah, and it was interesting because we saw that it was January that Lewin got in. Lewin today seemed to distance himself. He said, "I only got into the case the day before."
He said the day before.
That seems like
that may be malpractice. That could be malpractice. Oh, this is my case. We're going to trial tomorrow. I'm ready to go. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, so the day before, but that's almost like you're trying to distance yourself from what you know is going to happen. It wasn't it's him. It's Paul.
Yeah, it's Paulie P.
Paulie P. And this is actually a really great question. I'm going to ask Bob to answer it. It's so great.
Linda, this one here, can we on
right
Rock and try to get a restrict? I mean, yeah, why not?
Yeah, they could definitely get a TRO. Whether it would be made permanent or not, I don't know. But definitely get a TRO.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's temporary. I mean,
they'll put a time limit on it if it's not.
Well, in Illinois, they do like temporary. Like you're going to have to go in and try to get a plenary order of protection in pretty short order. Like there's a shelf life that's very short on a temporary restraining order in Illinois. I don't know what it is in LA.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, like whether or not they're going to be successful. I mean, at this point, the question becomes: do they sue him? Forget about the TRO.
Yeah, back to the extortion. Now we're back to the extortion.
Now we're back. And we have another suit. We forgot.
Oh yeah, there's a civil suit now with
Ben. Well, that's what I'm talking about. There should be a suit.
Relly has sued.
Oh, I understand.
Relly sued Joe Tacopina.
He needs to countersue him for false imprisonment.
But Relly sues Joe
and malicious prosecution.
And Ben Chu is representing Relly. They sued Joe Tacopina for defamation. They have that civil suit. That's another wrinkle. We should ask Joe to come back.
That may go away.
That should
go away.
Yeah, and they're going to have to countersue if it doesn't for definitely for malicious prosecution.
Yeah.
And false imprisonment. I mean, I don't know how long he was in custody before he bonded out.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about Joe's. The wrinkle that we didn't discuss with Joe yesterday in our exclusive interview was him being sued, in which he's a defendant. And so we'll probably devote a whole show on that. Can you imagine that? Thank you, Kay Schmidt, for gifting 5 Justice Serve TV membership. Will Rocky get his bond money right away? It takes a bit. It's not right away.
Yeah, it just I would hope to get him out tonight, but maybe not.
What was
they're not. What's that?
What was the bond amount?
500. Yeah. So they continue that, and it's at this point, who cares? The premium is gone, and he's free, so he's not going to have to go and they can't revoke his bail. They can't do any of those things.
Yep. They can't do any of that. But he, thank God, was Brianna in the court? Mel reported that Brianna was in the courtroom. Mel was in the courtroom. I don't know if any of them are willing to come on right now. She's probably trying to get. They're probably all trying to get interviews right now outside the courtroom. Right?
I'm sure it's a scrum.
It's a scrum.
Yes, that's what we call it in the business, the scrum.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait.
I would not be surprised if Rocky and Joe do a little something out there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Sheila Duffy will Relly be charged with perjury now? That's the $1 million question. Not just perjury as a standalone, but will they now look into the whole idea of the extortion? I mean, that tape to me is devastating. I don't care what you say. That you want to make us a distinction between, well, it's not extortion under California law, and the judge said, no. Hey, you asked money for the extortion.
It's common definition. Here's an irony for you. The prosecution takes this case thinking they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Rocky fired a real gun at Relly. Okay, we know that's a fact, but they choose not to file extortion charges against Relly because they don't think they can prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. That would be ironic.
That would really...
I predict that. That's what I predict. They will not pursue those charges against Relly.
No way.
So Bob,
And to be honest, it's a crap case as well. But it would be ironic that they pursue one crap case and
they're not signing up for any more of this case.
Yeah, they don't want it back.
Neither of these, right?
Yeah, and Arnold is probably thinking, Lewin, please do not darken my doorstep ever again.
People were kind of interesting with Judge Arnold, but I really think the whole idea where he said, he had he was going to oppose the sanctions. He tried to.
I can't wait to see what happens. What's going to happen? Is he going to let that just blow away now? Could be.
Well, I don't know. It depends on how many. I mean, that summation was with the objections to me was just unbelievable.
Well, remember what triggered the sanctions was not objections in general. It was speaking objections. It was arguing amongst themselves or with the court after an objection was made. So I don't recall any objections during the closing that included speaking or arguments. So that would have stopped the tote board a little bit lower than if you'd included. I mean, there was so much going on in those closings, but I don't think anything that violated the court's order. One thing I liked about the judge, he was willing to admit, whether he dozed off or just lost interest, he would admit, I didn't hear that perfectly. If you jury members need to have something read back, you can request part of it. I can't tell you that I remember every bit of testimony perfectly. So he was very honest about it. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And when he repeated it, I can't wait to hear what the jury was. I think that was an appropriate 4 hours was appropriate amount of deliberation for this case.
Yeah.
So I really do. But when we had Neil Rockin on, Bob, he made a point that sometimes what people say in trial when there's pauses is more important than what they answer as a question. And at one point, Relly said he was in a pause, and Relly said something to the effect of I didn't think it was going to be this, and then trailed off. So this hard?
Yeah.
This much work, this much difficulty.
Yeah.
Yep. It was clearly a regret, right? It was a regret that he was sitting there having to answer questions about his actions. That was clear.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't, he just thought it was going to be, oh boy, but is he that ignorant of the system? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. And one thing we talked about was because of how combative he was and how obstreperous, this was not his world, sitting in a chair, listening to others, not being able to say what you want to say. That was not his day to day.
Yeah.
And he did not take it well, combined with the fact that he probably was lying through his ass and, trying to scam money from his former friend. It was just so clear. You feel me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he should have watched a lot of Woody from YS.
Woody, to see how to handle it. Yeah.
My favorite witness of all time.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that too. Our favorite witness, Little Woody.
We loved him. We loved him.
Yeah. Bob, it's great. I don't know if you saw Doug Weinstein was on the show, and he said he went to I forget what basketball game and to sit on the floor, and he took little Woody with him because Woody had turned his life around.
Yeah.
But when he said, I wasn't lying to the cops, I was finessing them.
It's finessing, yeah. And then he would say, I'll tell him anything I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
What is that? Fizzler 1414. I want Lou in charge for being the most annoying.
For being a blowhard?
I'd say that's felony blowhardery.
Felony blowhardery. All right, you guys, I got to go. I got to make food. I
I
love
know.
you guys. And you know
Amen.
We
what?
love you
Today
too.
was a great day because justice was served.
Sir.
Look at that.
Amen, brother. Have a good
Amen.
night.
Lovers, you guys. I love
Amen.
you.
Take care, bud.
Hey, and you
Thank
guys
you,
did
thank
amazing
you.
work in 7:45. Is that your all-time long? 7:45.
Oh my God. Yes, even beyond the other full days. But yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking part, man. You made it
Always,
Thank you.
brother.
Thank
better.
you for taking part.
See you
Yeah,
later.
thank you. You
Okay.
can't
All
go.
right,
Stay
then.
with us. Everybody, let's talk. You happy, everyone? Y'all happy? Anybody wanted him convicted on this website?
Yeah.
You know?
I think 7% of the people said should have been found guilty of something. So they're not happy.
Yeah.
They're deluded, but they're not happy.
Yeah, that's I don't see what the evidence was. I mean, I
It's
just
just
don't see
nice
what the
when
evidence was.
when I think normal people, that's what I put us in that category, and so many of our viewers see what they see, feel what they feel, assume the jury's going to do the same, and we just don't know until it happens. But it's so nice that it does.
Right. We do not know until it happens. So just give me a few minutes. Let's talk about it. I want Lou in charge for being the most. I don't think I could repeat that. All my Catholic ears, even though I did say the F word today on our show. So PHL says, I feel bad with the other prosecutor having to deal with Lou, and the DA is going to be ticked. You know, I kind of feel bad also because I think he tried his best. He was very low key. They may have had a chance of conviction if they just let
It's
Paul do
very
himself.
possible. You never know. You know, I mean,
never
still the Relly factor, but you never know. Certainly, it would have been. I'll put it this way: a double negative. It would have been less unlikely
That
than it
really
was
is
in this case.
Yo, give him respect. Back up, guys. Hey, down.
Nonetheless, I'm thankful and we're blessed to be here right now. Be a free man talking to y'all. Thank you. All praise to God.
We'll get you passing our baby. You guys need to have another baby. You guys need to have another baby.
Don't be done.
Guys, I'm gonna
Be honest. How do you
guys, look, guys, hey guys, we can't do this. Everyone's gonna yell. We'll just have to leave. But listen, guys, listen.
Yo, Rocky, you free. Party
Guys,
at Wally's,
chill,
Brody.
Relax.
Put your arms down. Water on me. Arms down.
Guys, bottom line is we're grateful for the jury. They saw through this mirage of a case. We said from day one he was innocent. He turned down a plea for almost no jail time because he was innocent. And I've always said this was an extortion. The extortion played out live in color in court. You know, we've always said what it says is that the district attorney should look long and hard at prosecuting Tyrell Efron. We've said that from day one. We've said that from day one. They should do it now. They have him admitting to perjury. They have him committing extortion. The jury saw through it and came to an enormously quick and speedy verdict, the right verdict, and we thank this jury. And again, for me, my partner Chad, we're honored to have represented this amazing family. Rocky is one of my closest friends, but he's also just a great, great person. Rihanna, they are seriously the greatest people, and I said I love them, and I really do love them, and I got emotional in my summation because I care about them. This is one of the happiest days of my life, and I'm happy for them because they've earned this and deserve it.
Get this guy an all day.
Thank you, brother. Okay, guys.
Get this guy an all day.
Rihanna did this. Look at my suit.
The suit fits.
It's a little different than it was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. You're hooked in.
Oh, that was nuts.
Are we ready? We're ready.
What was it like seeing Rocky's raw emotion as he tripped over and fell over Brianna? What was that like?
I didn't realize how athletic he was. He in a single leap went over the jury box, but I mean the spectator row. Look, that was raw emotion. That was happiness.
you know, there was a moment where, before we heard the words from the clerk, you know, he didn't know if he was going to be spending the next 2 decades in jail or going home. And so when you hear those words, obviously, you know, I know how he was feeling. We've been in communication the last few hours, and there's a lot on the line. He has 2 little children. He's got a beautiful wife, and he's got a family, and so that was raw emotion. You guys got to see that, and you know, it was, even for us, I mean, it was insane. So it was just very, very satisfying.
When you and I spoke earlier, you said there was a lot on the line, you know, when coming to this burial. Now that everything's over with, what's next for ASAP? What's next for the whole family now that they can get past this?
Well, they promised their 3rd kid would be named ASAP Joe. So that's as far as I know. I'm kidding. You know, what's next is they're going to move on. I mean, they have a lot of great things professionally to do. You know, Rocky's really at the height of his career. He's worked with Gucci, he's worked with Puma, he's got a lot of things going. Obviously, Rihanna is on top of the world, and they have 2 beautiful, beautiful children, and they have a family. And you saw them come together. And, you know, I took offense to the prosecutor, Lewin, saying that they manufactured some sort of appearance of a family in his summation. But I think the jury obviously took offense to that too. They're a family, and they were a family, and that's why she was here to support him, and that's why his kids came. He doesn't know when he's going to see them again, and if this didn't go well for him, not that I thought it wasn't going to, you know, so it was just beautiful to see. You know, this is what we do. You know, we work hard, and these trials are hard, and they tax us, and you don't sleep. But at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. That's why I went to law school. That's why he went to law school. So you see this, and it makes it all worthwhile.
And you saw his reaction. I mean, talk to me about his demeanor, like leading up to when that verdict came in. I mean,
Dude, he was way calmer than I was. I mean, he was calming me down. So, like, I was more anxious and nervous. I mean, but that's always the way it is for me. You know, when something so important is about to happen. So he was really calm, cool, and collected. At the end, obviously, when that jury started piling in, and you know, you can't read anyone's faces. You know, there was a tension that he said, "I can't breathe," and I said, "Neither can I." So that makes 2 of us. You know, Chad and I've been together 22 years. I know how he feels. So it's just a moment of incredible angst. But when you have something like this happen, it makes it all worthwhile. It's great.
what do you think the key evidence was that made the verdict?
The key evidence, the fact that there was no evidence. I think that was the key evidence. I think relying on Terrell Efron for any matter of importance in your life, a decision on a matter of importance in your life would not be possible for anyone with a brain. And the jury clearly understood that argument. And then when I pointed out to the jury that I got Detective Flores, their lead detective, to say without Efron's testimony, there's no evidence of a shooting, one way or another. That could be or that cannot be. That really was it. You know, I left 10 questions for John Lewin to answer. He didn't even look at one. And those were 10 important questions, including number 9, which was, without Efron's testimony, as the prosecutor asked, Detective Flores acknowledged that there's not enough evidence in this case to say that definitively there was a shooting. So I was surprised he didn't touch those questions, but I knew he couldn't answer them, and that's why I put him up there. So anyway, I think that's why the jury came. And look, it was a quick verdict, right? I mean, they started almost 10 o'clock. They had a lunch break. They watched the video, and they had a verdict. So, you know, for basically 4-week trial, when I heard it was a verdict, I felt pretty good. Not so overly confident because you just never know, but I felt pretty good.
You talked about.
I'm not leaving. I'll answer everyone's questions, so don't worry. Yeah.
You talked about your client's raw emotion. We saw it. He drove.
Yeah, that was crazy.
To hug his family. He was not the only one that had a thunderous reaction. Talk about the reaction that we've seen from the public, supporters of his.
Yeah. Look, I've been here for over a month, and just me walking around. I'm not him, right? People were just wishing me luck for him. I mean, he's loved, very well loved in this city, and I think, you know, he's got a lot of fans. And that doesn't happen because he's a singer. It happens because who he is as a person. A lot of what the jury didn't hear was who ASAP really is, who ASAP Rocky is as a person. He does incredible charity work. He gives back to the community. He's become a dear friend of mine, more than a client. And that's why cases like this are really difficult for me, because there's so much on the line. I mean, I care about every client I represent to the point where they become family. This was at a different level, and so I was just not prepared for. I would not accept any other verdict than this one.
Why was this one so different? You said you care about every client, but they were like family. What was so special about
he and I have bonded. He and I have bonded over the last 3 years in a way that, you know, and he's just a different person. I attribute that to him, the way he conducts himself, the way he's so appreciative with us, the way he is with his. I mean, I spent time with him and Rihanna at their house, and they're just, you know, as humble and as can be for people with that level of success. They are really sweet, good people, and I would have been really, really hurting if this didn't go the right way. But, you know, thank God that jury, we had a great jury.
Speaking of family, do you think the jury seeing ASAP with Rihanna as a family man and their children helped his defense?
No, I don't think that helped his defense at all. Look, everyone knows he had Rihanna. Everyone knows he has 2 kids, sorry. I mean, I don't think the jury's like, all right, we think he's guilty, but look at the kids. I mean, so that's, you know, I'm glad the prosecution focused on that in their summation. We didn't. The evidence in this case was deficient. I think that they need to be going after Terrell Efron. As I've always said, he was an extortionist. He was someone who we showed committed extortion. The tape that one of you all said was really good for the prosecution that we brought in turned out not to be so good for the prosecution. It was him repeating the same story that he'd repeated from day one. But what it had on there was, 1, him committing perjury to this jury, and 2, him acknowledging he wanted $30 million and he disappeared to an island. That's called extortion.
Did we see any lawsuit, you know, towards Relly for the extortion lawsuit?
For what? To get his $697 he has in his bank account? Even though, if you look on Instagram, he's a billionaire. But, you know, I'm not suing Relly. I have other things in life to do. You know, he sued us. And after today, I don't think that's going so well.
Shorty, that Rihanna did that. He's wearing a new suit that Rihanna did, and it fits Joe Tacopina very well.
Yep.
You know, who knows what made a difference? I mean, that jury, they're able to speak to you guys if they want to. I don't know if they're going to. Both ways the gun wasn't presented, right? Our gun, the gun that Rocky actually had, the prop, or the gun that the prosecution said he had, wasn't produced. So I think it's a wash, so to speak. I think the jurors had to go on the evidence that they had, right? They can't speculate. They had evidence in this case. Most of the incriminating evidence came from the words of someone who's, as I said, whose tongue is a stranger to the truth. You know, is an admitted perjurer, admitted liar. So I just don't think any jury could embrace that. And if you can't believe Tyrell Efron in this case, you can't convict. It's that simple.
You can't trust the messenger. You got to ignore the whole message. Period.
Well, if the messenger doesn't fit, you must have quit. Did that happen in this courtroom?
That's a riff on Johnny Cochran, right?
You know, he fed off my confidence, honestly. He fed off my confidence. We talked every night. Obviously, he was heavily involved in his defense. You know, but he would follow my lead. And if I told him things were going well, he obviously didn't know this procedure, this process. But I told him things were going well, they went well. So, you know, he was really good. He's a smart guy. You know, his only misstep was that time he uttered out, you know, in the courtroom about, you know, his personal company, which just was so irrelevant. So it was so irrelevant to the case. You know, obviously he was being defamed. People used derogatory statements towards him. Relly called him every name in the book, you know, homophobic names, all these things. And Rocky didn't move a muscle. But when something personal to him was being asked about, which is irrelevant to the case, what his company was called, what the acronym for. Well, it's an acronym for his company that had to do with his family. I'm going to leave it at that, right? And he was asked. So he didn't want that revealed nationally, publicly. It's like a private thing, the way someone doesn't want their phone number revealed. So he, you know, after the witness had already answered, he said, "Don't say," which caused me to heel kick him in the ankle. So the second sound you heard from Rocky was a yelp. So it was, "Don't say, ow," but the ow was from me, "Don't say" was from him. But it was irrelevant to this case. But again, the prosecution focused on that. They focused on Rihanna and the kids. They focused on a lemon. They focused on a dog. They focused on a donut. We focused our summation on the facts. And, you know, I guess the jury's went away.
You liking this? You liking this? Come on, you liking this?
Yeah, I think that was a great
bonding
liking
experience.
They
don't personally. I mean, I've known it for a while. You all liking this?
I'm feeling it.
You feel it? You feel me?
A strong woman. And she obviously was there to support him. She'd always been in touch with me throughout the process to make sure things were going well, and privately wanted reassurance. But she was here. Wild Horse, Rocky did not want her here. I will tell you that. I think I said it to you in the beginning. He did not want her here. he wanted to shield her from this. Wild horses couldn't keep her away. So, you know, you go through something like this as a family, it brings you closer. It's a bonding experience, and they're just two special people. So I can't imagine this has been anything but a life-altering experience for them.
How does it feel to get a public win after Donald Trump fired you?
So, do you know your facts?
Well, I'm asking you.
No, he didn't fire me. I resigned from the case.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Who's that?
He fired you.
He didn't fire me. I'm not here for that. I was invited to the inauguration also, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
but,
Trump.
so
Yeah,
I'm not
Trump.
going to answer questions about
cares?
other cases in my career. But that's a good question. You must be a good journalist.
That was a great. See how he handled that? That was great. You should all be that.
Yep.
That was, you should all be Trump. That was about Trump.
Well, clearly they weren't receptive to his message, right? Clearly they weren't receptive to his message and his tactics. I mean, you know, he treated two witnesses who came in here respecting the process, the court, were compliant witnesses, and he yelled at them for 2 hours. You know, I had a witness abusing me, cursing at me, flexing, cursing, throwing water bottles, and I didn't lose my cool. And I don't think that's good for a jury. I don't think a jury wants to see a lawyer out of control. So, you know, I look, based on the verdict, I can only say clearly that those tactics didn't work, right? The yelling, the screaming, the constant objecting. You know, a jury doesn't want to be kept away from the facts. And
You and I have
want to
said that
know
all the time,
that
Michael.
facts are, you know, being brought to them, and they won't want to be hidden from facts. So when you constantly object as a lawyer, and the jury feels like you're trying to hide something from them, I think they don't like that. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Lewin's conduct had anything to do with it. I think the facts really governed the day and carried this verdict. So I really do, more so than any lawyer's conduct in the case. Okay, guys. Anyone else? We're good. I don't want to not answer anyone's questions.
This is a great way to run a press conference. To give a lecture. Anyone else? You want any other questions? What other questions? Okay?
Yeah, damn right. I think he should be prosecuted. I mean, he perjured himself a dozen times in front of this jury. Perjury is a crime. There's now evidence that he committed extortion on the record. You know, let's see if the DA really wants to go after a criminal. I mean, they spent all this time, all this money pursuing Rocky.
That's my point.
Someone who was acquitted and vindicated. Hopefully they'll go pursue a real criminal, and they have the evidence to do it. It's on the record, so he should prosecute him. I hope he does. Okay, guys?
Thanks for coming back.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all very much.
He might be heading off to an island that really.
So it was 600. He said $676 or whatever.
Yeah, $600 some dollars. He's going to be working a cruise ship.
Yeah. What was interesting, he said what you and I have been saying all along. Jurors hate it when you object. And when you object, you better look like you're trying to keep the truth from them. They're sitting there. You know, and he's true. They went in, you know, they talked a little bit. They had lunch. They came back, talked a little bit, filled out the form. And,
I thought he said it was a quick verdict. I wouldn't say it was quick because it was reasonable. But yeah, they weren't consternating. Oh my God, what do we do? I think Lewin, you know, Joe, I think is right in that he was probably less a factor in this case because it was not a close case.
Right.
In a close case, I think he can be a factor, a bad factor. You know, if it's really close and the jury just hates this guy, it ain't going to go well for the prosecution. Not a factor here because it was such an overwhelmingly bad case.